The world's beliefs need deconstructing to learn what is good, what is right, what is divine, what is evil, what is correct, and what is incorrect. It is about learning that your nature is divine. But there must be a clarification of consciousness first, and you must truly understand that your culture was built on large untruths, misperceptions, and in some cases, blatant lies.
You see your world as this objective thing that is happening to you. It is not. It is a responsive system that shows where you are in your own consciousness. The world is your world. The world is your mind reflected back to you. So you see that there are many things that need to be shifted, and there are many things that need to be changed. When you are ensconced in the physicality of the material world, it gives you an idea of where your vibration is. You are the creator, you are the maker of all things you see in front of you, you are the most powerful being, and you are divine in nature. This is what we are studying together. There is a loving energy that drives the universe, and loving and caring energy that always shows people where they are wrong and asks them to change themselves so that the world can change. The understanding of the mind and the understanding of the truth of creation and how it works and how to master its science is not something that is bestowed by a god. It is not bestowed on you by a god. It is a science that you practice, a science of mind and of transforming the mind into a disciplined focuser. This then allows reception of truth to come into the mind. And it is through this reception of truth, through the mind, that awareness and awakening occur.
Who you are. You are a divine creative being. You have been bestowed with the creative mind of a God. You have not been told this information in your training, so it is being brought to you now. You are the will of God, because this is how you were created. Because your Creator creates only like Himself, you are like Him. You are the Spirit lovingly endowed with all your Father's love and peace and joy. You are the Spirit which completes Himself, and shares His function as Creator. He is with you always, as you are with Him.
The term soul is equivalent of spirit, with the understanding that, being of God, it is eternal and was never born. The truth of your nature was not contained within the physical world, but it is contained within the mind. The mind holds the key to the lock of true reality. Your body is a manifestation of your belief in individuality. It is true that the mind creates the body. This is a fact, not supposition. It is the truth. Your thoughts, beliefs, prejudices, fears, desires, hopes, and dreams are all manifested in your physical body as structures. The body you experience as a solid object, or the body that you experience in your current consciousness as something that is immovable, is very difficult to change. It is one of the great illusions that you are immersed in. You have come to this place, to this world, to this creation that you call the three-dimensional plane, in a form of delusion that you have decided to explore. You are given free will. You are given the ability to do whatever you wish, but you have separated yourself from the very force that is your nurturing, that is your calmness, and that is your peaceful experience.
The conditioned mind of each culture keeps you narrow. It keeps you boxed in, it keeps you limited, and it keeps you from growing into that which you truly are, which is a divine, aware, enlightened being, who is able to affect many different things into experience. Only the mind is real, because only the mind can be shared. The body is separate, and therefore cannot be part of you. To be of one mind is meaningful, but to be of one body is meaningless. By the laws of mind, then, the body is meaningless. A mind within a body, and a world of other bodies, each with separate minds, are your creations. You, the other mind, are creating with effects unlike yourself. All of your environment in every way, shape, and form is coming from your mind.
What is mind? God has lit your minds Himself, and keeps your mind lit by His light, because His light is what your minds are. This is totally beyond question. The term mind is used to represent the activating agent of spirit, with the spirit supplying its creative energy. Spirit is the thought of God which He created like Himself. The unified spirit is God's one Son, or Christ. Your mind is capable of creating worlds, but it can also deny what it creates, because it is free. The mind is a very powerful creator, and it never loses its creative force. It never sleeps. Every instant it is creating, and always as you will.
In this world, the mind is split. In this illusory state, the concept of an individual mind seems to be meaningful. It is therefore described in the Course as if it has two parts, spirit and ego. Spirit is the part that is still in contact with God through the Holy Spirit, who abides in this part but sees the other part as well. The Holy Spirit is nothing more than your own right mind. The other part of the mind is entirely illusory and makes only illusions. Spirit retains the potential for creating, but its will, which is God's, seems to be imprisoned while the mind is not unified. The Holy Spirit forgives, the ego damns. Neither need be defined except by this. Creation continues unabated because that is the will of God. This will is always unified and therefore it has no meaning in this world. It has no opposite and no degrees.
The mind can be right or wrong, depending on the voice to which it listens. Right-mindedness listens to the Holy Spirit, forgives the world, and through Christ's vision sees the real world in its place. Wrong-mindedness listens to the ego and makes illusions, perceiving sin and justifying anger, and seeing guilt, disease and death as real. Both this world and the real world are illusions because right-mindedness merely overlooks, or forgives, what never happened.
Your state of mind and your recognition of what is in your mind depends at any given moment on what you believe about your mind. Whatever these beliefs may be, they are the premises which will determine what you accept into your minds. It is surely clear that you can both accept into your minds what is not really there, and deny what is. The term right-mindedness is properly used as the correction for wrong-mindedness, and applies to the state of mind, which induces accurate perception. The mind returns itself to its proper function only when it wills to know. This places it in the soul's service, where perception is meaningless.
What is meant by perception? Perception is a choice of what you want yourself to be, the world you want to live in, and the state which you think your mind will be content and satisfied. It chooses where you think your safety lies, at your decision. It reveals yourself to you, as you would have you be. And always, is it faithful to your purpose from which it never separates, nor gives the slightest witness unto anything the purpose in your mind it holds not. It is essential it be kept in mind that all perception still is upside down until its purpose has been understood. What you project is up to you, but it is not up to you whether to project, for projection is a law of mind. Perception is projection, and you look in before you look out. As you look in, you choose the guide for seeing, and then look out, and behold his witnesses. This is why you find what you seek. What you want in yourself you will make manifest by projection. And you will accept it from the world, because you put it there by wanting it. When you think you are projecting what you do not want, it is still because you do want it. This leads directly to dissociation, for it represents the acceptance of two goals, each perceived in a different place, separated from each other, because you made them different.
The mind then sees a divided world outside itself, but not within. This gives it an illusion of integrity, and enables it to believe that it is pursuing one goal. Perception does not seem to be a means. And it is this that makes it hard to grasp the whole extent to which it must depend on what you see it for. Perception seems to teach you what you see. Yet, it but witnesses to what you taught. The ability to perceive made the body possible, because you must perceive something, and with something. The interpretive function of perception, a distorted form of creation, then permitted man to interpret the body as himself, which, as way out of the conflict he induced. Perception is the outward picture of a wish, an image, that you want to be true. Look at yourself, and you will see a body. Here is an image that you want to be yourself. It is the means to make your wish come true. It gives the eyes with which you look with, the hands that feel it, and the ears with which you listen to the sounds it makes. It proves its own reality to you. Thus is the body made a theory of yourself, with no provisions made for evidence beyond itself, and no escape within its sight. It grows and withers, flourishes and dies. And you cannot conceive of you apart from it. You brand it sinful, and you hate its acts, judging it evil. Yet your specialness whispers, "Here is my own beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased."
Such is the travesty of God's creation. As His Son's creation gave Him joy, and witnessed to His love, and shared His purpose, so does the body testify to the idea that made it and speak for its reality and truth. And thus are two sons made, and both appeared to walk this earth without a meeting place, and no encounter. One do you see outside yourself, your own beloved Son. The other rests within, His Father's Son, within your brother as He is in you. Their difference does not lie in how they look, nor where they go, nor even what they do. They share a different purpose. It is this that joins them to their like, and separates each from all aspects with a different purpose. The Son of God retains His Father's will. The Son of Man perceives an alien will, and wishes it were so. And thus does his perception serve his wish, by giving it appearances of truth. Yet can perception serve another goal? It is not bound but by your choice for you.
Perception is temporary. It is an attribute of the space-time belief, and is therefore subject to fear or love. Misperception produces fear, and true perception produces love. You can change your perception by changing your thoughts. If you do not believe you can do this, you have denied the power of your thought, and thus rendered it powerless in your belief. While expressions like "think big" give some recognition to the power of thought, they still come nowhere near the truth. You do not expect to grow when you say it, because you don't really believe it. It is hard to recognize that thought and belief combine into a power surge that can literally move mountains. It appears at first glance that to believe such power about yourself is merely arrogant. But that is not the real reason why you don't believe it. People prefer to believe that their thoughts cannot exert real control because they are literally afraid of them. Perception is a part of what it is your purpose to behold. For means and end are never separate. And thus you learn what seems to have a life apart, has none.
The world you see. The world you see is but a judgment on yourself. It is a picture of what you think you are, of how you see yourself. There is always some good in any thought which strengthens the idea that life and the body are not the same. You make the world and then adjust to it, and it to you. Nor is there any difference between yourself and it in your perception, which made them both. A simple question yet remains, and needs an answer. Do you like what you have made? A world of murder and attack, through which you thread your way through constant dangers, alone and frightened, hoping at most that death will wait a little longer before it overtakes you, and you disappear. You made this up. But judgment lays a sentence on it, justifies it, and makes it real. Such is the world you see, a judgment on yourself, and made by you. Thoughts create and the world reflects back to us exactly what we were thinking. Believe them not, and they are gone. And all you need to do is recognize you did this. Once you accept this simple fact, and take unto yourself the power you gave them, you are released from them. But, if you are on this earth plane believing that you are an individual existing in a separated body, you have great untruths in the mind. You will experience death, until you understand who you are, and the unity of consciousness.
What is sin?
Sin is a man-made word with threat connotations which man made up. No real threat is involved anywhere. Sin is lack of love. The ego does not perceive sin as a lack of love. It perceives it as a positive act of assault. Sin is the proclamation that attack is real, and guilt is justified. It is essential that error be not confused with sin. For error can be corrected, and the wrong made right. But sin, were it possible, would be irreversible. The belief in sin is necessarily based on the firm conviction that minds, not bodies, can attack. And thus the mind is guilty, and will forever so remain, unless a mind, not part of it, can give it absolution. Sin calls for punishment, as error for correction. And the belief that punishment is correction is clearly insane. For sin entails an arrogance which the idea of error lacks.
When you are tempted to believe that sin is real, remember, if sin is real, both God and you are not. The Son of God can be mistaken, he can deceive himself, he can even turn the power of his mind against himself. But he cannot sin. There is nothing he can do that would really change his reality in any way, nor make him really guilty. That is what sin would do, for such is its purpose. Yet for all the wild insanity inherent in the whole idea of sin, it is impossible. For the wages of sin is death, and how can the immortal die? Sin has changed creation from an idea of God to an idea the ego wants, a world it rules, made up of bodies, mindless, and capable of complete corruption and decay. There is no stone in all the ego's embattled citadel more heavily defended than the idea that sin is real. This is the natural expression of what the Sons of God has made himself to be, and what he is. To the ego, this is no mistake. For this is its reality, this is the truth from which escape will always be impossible. This is his past, his present, and his future.
Men are afraid of blasphemy, but they do not know what it means. They do not realize that, to deny God, is to deny their own identity, and in this sense, the wages of sin is death. The sense is very literal. Denial of life perceives its opposite, as all forms of denial replace what is, with what is not. No one can really do this, but that you can think you can, and believe you have, is beyond dispute. Error, not sin, can be corrected by the mind. Sin is the belief that your perception is unchangeable, and that the mind must accept as true what it is told through it. The only power that could change perception is thus kept impotent, held to the body by the fear of changed perception. While you believe that your reality, or your brother's, is bounded by a body, you will believe in sin. Sins are beyond forgiveness just because they would entail effects which cannot be undone and overlooked entirely. In their undoing lies the proof that they were merely errors. This world is merciless, and, were it outside you, you should indeed be fearful. But it is you who made it merciless. And now, if mercilessness seems to look back at you, it can be corrected.
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness is the means appointed for perception's ending. Forgiveness is acquired. It is not inherent in a mind which cannot sin. As sin was an idea you taught yourself, forgiveness must be learned by you as well, but from a teacher other than yourself who represents the other self in you. Through him you learn how to forgive the self you think you made, and let it disappear. Thus you return your mind as one to him who is yourself, and who can never sin. To forgive is merely to remember only the loving thoughts you gave in the past, and those that were given you. All the rest must be forgotten. The ego has a plan of forgiveness, because you are asking for one, but not of the right teacher. The ego's plan, of course, makes no sense and will not work. The ego's plan is to have you see error clearly first, and then overlook it. But how can you overlook what you have made real? And what its consequences must be real, because what it has done is there to see. By seeing it clearly, you have made it real, and cannot overlook it. No one can forgive until he learns correction is but to forgive, and never to accuse. You must attest his sins had no effect on you, to demonstrate they were not real. How else could he be guiltless? And how could his innocence be justified unless his sins have no effect to warrant guilt? Yet no one can forgive a sin which he believes is real. To witness sin and yet forgive it, is a paradox which reason cannot see. For it maintains what has been done to you deserves no pardon. And, by giving it, you grant your brother mercy, but retain the proof he is not really innocent.
No one in whom true forgiveness reigns can suffer. Who can say and mean, "My brother, you have injured me, and yet, because I am the better of the two, I pardon you my hurt"? His pardon and your hurt cannot exist together. One denies the other, and must make it false. The unhealed cannot pardon, for they are the witnesses that pardon is unfair. They would retain the consequences of the guilt they overlook. To forgive may be an act of charity, but not his due. He may be pitied for his guilt, but not exonerated. And if you forgive him his transgressions, you but add to all the guilt that he has really earned. Good cannot be returned for evil, for forgiveness does not first establish sin, and then forgive it. Forgiveness is not real unless it brings a healing to your brother and yourself. Forgiveness cannot be for one, and not the other. How willing are you to forgive your brother? How much do you desire peace, instead of endless strife and misery and pain? These questions are the same, in different form. Forgiveness is your peace. Forgiveness paints a picture of a world where suffering is over, loss becomes impossible and anger makes no sense. Attack is gone, and madness has an end. What suffering is now conceivable? What loss can be sustained? The world becomes a place of joy, abundance, charity and endless giving. Because, your spirit, a holy Son of God, you are free of all limits, safe, healed and whole. You are free to forgive and free to save the world.
Your guidance system.
It is time that you understood that you are guided by a system that is infallible. You are guided by an internal guidance system that will not lead you astray but will, indeed, lead you to exactly that which you need to experience to understand yourself, to understand the world, and to understand how to wake up. Your guidance system is your feeling body, your emotional body. This is the guidance system that you were given when, in your mistaken idea of self, you created a world in which you could play out your mistaken identity and fearful thoughts. You were given freedom to become lost, but you were not given the freedom to become lost without a way back. Your guidance system is designed to assist you. In the Bible, your guidance system is referred to as a comforter. It is the Holy Spirit. It is what you feel. It is contained within your mind and is your guidance system. Your feeling selves are your clues as to where you are on your paths. It's like a compass that tells you when you are spiritually aligned by giving you a sense of peace. The Holy Spirit, like the ego, is a decision. Together they constitute all the alternatives which your mind can accept and obey. The ego and the Holy Spirit are the only choices which are open to you. God created one, and so you cannot eradicate it. You made the other, so you can. Fear and love are the only emotions of which you are capable. One is false, for it was made out of denial, and denial depends on the real belief in what is denied for its own existence. Only what God creates is irreversible and unchangeable. What you have made can always be changed, because when you not think like God, you have not really thought at all. The Holy Spirit in you forgives all things in you, and your brother. His errors are forgiven with yours. Ask and it shall be given you, because it has already been given. Ask for light and learn that you are light. Any answer to a problem the Holy Spirit solves will always be one in which no one loses. And this must be true because he asks no sacrifice of anyone. An answer which demands the slightest loss to anyone has not resolved the problem, but has added to it, and made it greater, harder to resolve, and more unfair. It is impossible the Holy Spirit could see unfairness as a resolution. The Holy Spirit's problem solving is the way in which the problem ends. It has been solved because it has been met with justice. And until it has, it will recur because it has not yet been solved. The principle that justice means no one can lose is crucial. Your guidance system is how you feel in this very moment, and you have the ability to change it by what you focus on and what you believe to be true. The Holy Spirit, if allowed, will guide you to peace. This course makes no attempt to teach what cannot easily be learned. Its scope does not exceed your own, except to say that what is yours will come to you when you are ready.